Thank you so much for joining this lesson. As we continue preparing for the Kjsea 2025 exam, we shall be looking at several examinations and samples, and one is here. So as we discuss this paper, I hope that learners are going to benefit from the program. So remember to subscribe, remember to share, remember to invite friends to Shifting Grades Online School. As we continue learning together, be reminded of our program here whereby you can purchase airtime from any network or from your M-Pesa. So you just go to your M-Pesa menu, Lipa na M-Pesa. The pay bill number is displayed here, 737356. Then the account number is the phone number that you're purchasing the airtime for. This phone number can be Airtel, Telcom, Safaricom. So that is the account number. Then you enter the amount that you'd like to spend. Then you complete the transaction. The airtime is going to reflect instantly. You can also purchase for a friend. So you use their phone number as the account. The pay bill remains 737356. So utilize the facility and invite your friends to the same. Let's get into the paper. Number 1 in section A. Sarah recorded the following numbers in a field book. Half, 5 and half, -8, 0.6. Which of the numbers is an integer? Which of the numbers is an integer? So learners are supposed to understand what integers are. These are whole numbers, 0 inclusive, both negatives and positives. So we should know that fractions and decimals are not integers. Looking at the choices now, we should know that this is not an integer because it's a fraction. A fraction. This is a decimal. So we remain with -8. And it's our choice D. So that's how you label your answer. Choice D. Number 2. 3 buckets have capacities of 16, 12, 20 liters. The buckets were filled with water using a container. What is the capacity of the largest container? The largest container that was used to fill each of the buckets in an exact number of times. So here we need a smaller bucket, which is going to fill, we need a smaller container that will fill these buckets. Therefore, this is an indication that we are going to get what we call a container which can divide all these capacities. So we need a divisor, a greatest divisor, the greatest divisor. Mark the word largest container. So we need a GCD. So if we were finding a container which is bigger than the buckets, that can be filled by the buckets. That can be filled by the buckets. Then we would have gone for a multiple of the capacities, which would mean the LCM. But in this case, we need a container that can fill the provided ones. So it should be a divisor of the provided ones. So let's get the GCD of 16, 12, and 20. Which is the largest number that can be divided by both 16, 12, and 20. 16, 12, 20. We begin the least prime factor, which is 2. We'll get 8, 6, 10. By 2 once again. Here we are getting 4, 3, and 5. We cannot divide by 2 again because 3 and 5 are not even. We cannot divide by 4. Actually, Those are the only common factors, 2 by 2. So it means this container is a 4-liter container, making option A the right answer. Let's check number 3 of the same paper. A farmer harvested, let me check this number, 2,486,712 pieces of pineapples. What is the number rounded off to the nearest and thousands? To the nearest and thousands. So we have to consider the number in the position of 100,000s. This is ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. The digit is 4, right? So if the digit is 4, then we have to consider the number on its right side. Is it able to increase it to the next number? Yes. So we're supposed to consider if this digit, which is 4, is the one on the position that we need, 100,000s, then we look at 8. 8 can increase 4 to 5. So it becomes 2, 5, and everything else now becomes 0. So we need 2,500,000. And the right choice is D. So that's how we round off. Okay. Number 4. It's good to notice that our consultation line is already pinned on the wall 0704153366. That is the number you should use for further consultations and also to demand for individualized tuitions. The price of a liter of petrol at a petrol station was 199 shillings and 8 cents. David wrote the price to 2 significant figures. Which of the following is the price to 2 significant figures? So when you talk about significant figures now, we need to count the first significant figure here. All right, we begin by, this is a decimal number. So we consider the number, first of all, this is a 5 significant figure number. A 5 significant figure number. So we consider the first 2 significant figures. 1, 9. Then we consider the number to the right. That is another 9. So 9 can increase the first 9. This one can increase the other one. And it will make it a 10 such that we have to carry 1 again. So that we have 2. Then when we have 2 there now, we are supposed to bring now the zeros here and have the prices 200. So that we may sustain the total value of the price of petrol. Because when we get 2, we cannot say that the answer is 2. We have to introduce the 2's there, the zeros there, 2 of them. It's good for you to know that choice D cannot become our answer because a 0 at the end of a significant number is usually significant. A 0 at the end of a decimal number is also significant. So choice D is to 3, not even 3. Actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is a 4 significant figure number. 4 significant figure number. This one is 2 or 1 significant figure number. And this one is 2 SF. Yeah. Number 5. Peter worked out a question on indices and got the answer as P power 2. Which of the following is equivalent to P power 2? In other words, which question was Peter working out? because when he worked out, he got p power 2. So we know that according to the laws of indices, when we have a common base, the powers should be added. So from A, the answer will be p, then 4 plus 2, which is 6. In B, it will be p. Because of the division, we subtract. So we get p squared. And that means Peter was solving part B of this. Look at number 6. The equation of a line was given as 4x minus 3y minus 7 equals to 0. What is the gradient of the line? So for us to get the gradient of a line, we're supposed to arrange the line in the form y equals to mx plus c. So let's organize this equation so that we have negative 3y remaining here equals to negative 4x positive 7. When we take all of them to the right hand side now, we take 4x to the right and also negative 7 to the right. So negative 7 becomes positive while 4x becomes negative. Then for us to remain with y, we have to divide through by a negative 3. So negative 4 over negative 3x plus 7 also over negative 3. So y equals to, the negatives cancel, 4 over 3x minus 7 over 3. So this is now the equation in the form y equals to mx plus c. When the equation is in this format, the constant part gives us the y-intercept, and the coefficient of x gives us the gradient. So the gradient of this line is 4 out of 3. 4 out of 3, or 1 1/3. But because the equation, the answers have been provided as a mixed, as an improper fraction, then we stick to choice B. Yeah, that way. Number 7. Joel requires at least 20 minutes to walk from home to school. Let X represent the time taken by Joel to walk from home to school. Which of the following inequalities represent the time taken by Joel? Logically, Joel is going to take a minimum of 20 minutes. When we say at least 20 minutes, we mean walking from home to school. Joel can take 20, can take 21, 25 minutes, as long as it's above 20, as long as it's 20 and above. So this is a clear indication to mean that the time taken by Joel, 20 is inclusive, then any value above 20. And that is why we say that C becomes the right answer. So the time taken should either be 20 or more than 20. So greater than or equal to 20. So we disqualify B. We disqualify choice B. And we also disqualify this one, because when you take less than 20 or equal to 20, that is not at least 20. At least means the minimum he can take is 20. So we work with choice C. That's how we interpret such an equation. Let's check number 8. Otieno and Kjsea bought pens, exercise books, and pencils at the beginning of the term. The number of pens, exercise books, and pencils bought by each was represented by the matrix below. So we have the matrix here, 6, 13, 3, 5, 12, 4. What was the order of the matrix? For us to give the order of the matrix, we should give it as A by B, where A is the number of rows, B is the number of columns. So with this knowledge now, we can approach the question whereby we count the number of rows, which is 1, 2. Those are 2 rows. 1, 2. Then now the columns, 1, 2, 3. So 2 rows by 3 columns, 2 by 3. That makes A the most appropriate answer. 2 by 3. Number 9. Winnie placed a tube against a wall as shown below. We have the tube, we have the wall there, which is 2.7 meters high, 3.6 meters from the base of the tube. The top of the tube was 2.7 meters from the bottom of the wall. The foot of the tube was 3.6 meters from the wall. Which of the following calculations will give the length of the tube? Now here, the wall is vertical, so definitely this is right angled. So we're supposed to apply what we call the Pythagoras theorem, whereby we will take the base and the height. When they are squared, then we obtain the square root, we will get the hypotenuse. So the length will be given by, when we take 3.6 and we square, then we add 2.7 and we also square, then carry out the square roots. We are able to get the answer. And that makes A to be the most appropriate, because you can see in B, they have added, then now they are squaring, which is wrong. That is not Pythagoras theorem. You can see in C, they have squared very well, but they are subtracting, which is wrong. Then in D, they have not even squared anything. So A becomes the most appropriate choice in this case. Number 10. Anne made a semicircular tablecloth. The diameter of the tablecloth was 42 centimeters. She binded the edge of the tablecloth with a ribbon. What was the length of the ribbon used? Therefore, semicircular means this way. We say this is 42 centimeters. So we just need the perimeter. Just need the perimeter from this point all the way back to the same point. That is what we call perimeter. Therefore, we need perimeter of a semicircle, which is half pi r, radius is 21, half 2 pi r, or half pi d. Let me write the formula. Half pi d, or half 2 pi r. So we can use pi d. We use the d, half pi d, 42. Then we should add our d, because half pi d will give us the curved length. Then now we should add the straight line here, which is 42. Therefore, we will have 11 and have 66 plus 42. When we add this, 66 and 42, we'll get 108. 108, making B our most appropriate choice. Look at number 11. A milk company sells yogurt in cylindrical cups. Each cup has a diameter of 7 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters. The company sold 385 liters of yogurt. How many cups of yogurt were sold? So let's get the capacity of 1 cup of yogurt. We need to say that capacity will be given by, we get volume first, then we'll be converting. The volume of a cylindrical is given by the cross-section area, which is circular, so pi r squared, then multiplied by length or height, that way. Therefore, volume of this cylindrical cup is going to be 22 out of 7, multiplied by radius squared. So 7 is the diameter. So we need to talk about 3.5 now, the radius squared. multiplied by a height of 10. So let me check this volume. 22 by 3.5 squared multiplied by 10, then over 7. 385 cubic centimeters. This one now can be converted into liters. This one can be converted into liters, whereby we will have to say, or we can even convert the yogurt which was sold to liters. It is already in liters, so we can make it cubic centimeters so that it be in the same units as the cup. So we can convert either so that we divide. If I convert this, then I'll say that 1 liter equals to 1,000 cubic centimeters. So that 385 liters will total to 385,000 liters. Now, the capacity of the yogurt, which was sold, is 385,000. And 1 cup measures 385. Therefore, the number of cups will be 385,000 out of 385, and this will give us 1,000 cups. 1,000 cups. 1,000 cups. So that is it. Checking at number 12 now. The question says, Nyaboke walked from her home to the market. She walked at a speed of 4 kilometers per hour and took 30 minutes to reach the market. On her way back, she took 40 minutes to reach home. What was Nyaboke's speed on her way back? Initial speed is 4 kilometers per hour. Time taken is 30 minutes, which translates to half an hour. So with speed and time, we can get the distance from home to market. So distance is usually given by speed times time. So we need a speed of 4 times half an hour to get 2 kilometers. So the distance is 2 kilometers from Nyaboke's home to the marketplace. With this distance now, and we have the time taken in the journey back, we can get the speed. That means we need speed equals to distance over time. So the speed, the distance is 2 divided by time, which is 40 minutes. And 40 minutes can be converted. 40 minutes, we make them over 60, which is 2/3. Therefore, 2 will be multiplied by 60 over 40. 2 multiplied by 3 over 2, giving us exactly 3 kilometers per hour. 3 kilometers per hour. Yeah, 3 kilometers per hour. That means B is our best choice. I hope people are still aware. The line touched here, that's our consultation line, and you can use the same number to appreciate the programs here. This is a Boniface. So our M-Pesa is really active. You can use the same number to appreciate our programs. 0704 153366, number 13. When measured the temperature of a liquid is 48. Which of the following calculations gives the correct temperature in Kelvin? So to convert temperature from the degrees Celsius scale to the Kelvin scale, we just add 273 units. Therefore, according to the expressions provided here, we don't subtract, we don't multiply, we don't divide. Therefore, we talk about A, which is our most appropriate choice. Look at number 14 now. A shop allowed a 10% discount on all items sold. Hamid bought a shirt at 720 from the shop. Which calculation gives the marked price of the shirt? So the discounted price of the shirt is 720, which means due to the discount allowed, which is 10%, we have 720 as 90%. And therefore, we can check the 100% of this. So we'll be talking about 720 by 100 out of 90. So multiplying by 100 over 90 can also be expressed as 720 divided by the reciprocal, 90 over 100. You know, this now is going to be 720 divided by 0.9. Yeah, so this now becomes our best answer that way. Number 15. The base of a liter bin is in the shape of a regular pentagon as shown. So we have a pentagon here, then there is an angle marked Y. Determine the size of the angle marked Y. So inside a pentagon, what is the sum of the interior angles? Sum of interior angles is usually given by 180 into n minus 2. In this case, we'll be talking about 180 into 5 minus 2. N is the number of sides, remember? Therefore, 180 by 3, giving us 540. So all the angles in a pentagon will add up to 540. Then the next thing will be, if they add up to 540, how many are they? They are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 angles adding up to 540, and they are all equal. So we can get the size of 1. 540 divided by 5, we are getting 108. 108 that way. So 108 now makes C to be the most appropriate answer in this particular case. Number 16. A pole is erected on a flat ground. It forms an angle ABC with the ground as shown. So we can see a pole which is not a very vertical, so it's not 90 degrees. It's not 90. When you also look at the angle, it's acute, not greater than 90. So we eliminate the, what is the size of the angle? So when you measure this, you get exactly 85 degrees. This is something I've already measured. So please make sure that in case you print this paper, you can actually request for the paper through our WhatsApp number, 0704153366. So when you WhatsApp this number, you'll be able to get the paper so that you may do some of the questions like this one, which you cannot measure from the screen. You can measure it after printing and you confirm that it is 85. The same number, you can also use it to appreciate this program. Number 17. Rehema plotted a point R on the Cartesian plane as shown. So we have a Cartesian plane here. Then we can see point R. Yeah, the dot is here for point R. What are the coordinates of point R? Now, for you to state the coordinates of R, we are supposed to begin with the X coordinate, then the Y coordinates. So R will be given us, let's get the X coordinate by directly connecting R to the X axis. And you see when you move upwards now, you are getting 3. So we have 3. Then on the Y, we move horizontally, and we are getting a -2. So 3, -2, and that makes B the most appropriate answer in this case. Look at 18 now. A surveyor wrote the length of a piece of land as 70 meters. She represented the length as 2.8 centimeters on a map. what was the scale used on the map? So if 70 meters is being represented by 2.8 centimeters, how much is represented by 1 centimeter? How much is represented by 1 centimeter? That is now what we call a scale. 1 unit on the paper to represent how much? To represent how much on the ground, on paper, on ground. Therefore, this will be 70 by 1 divided by 2.8. 2.8. So 70 out of 2.8 gives us 25 meters. So the scale can be written as 1 centimeter represents 25 meters as a statement. But now looking at the choices that we have, the scale has been given as a ratio. So a ratio, if you remember very well, the details about ratios are supposed to be in the same units. So when we say 1 centimeter, it represents 25 meters on paper. So we should convert them to also centimeters by multiplying by 100. And that makes D our right answer. So people might work out at this point and say they start thinking that A is the right answer. That's a lie. You have to convert a ratio to be in the same units. A ratio compares quantities in the same units. Number 19. A painter placed a 3.2 meter long ladder at an angle of 30 with a vertical wall. What was the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the foot of the wall? So now we have to interpret this as a diagram. Ladder is 3.2 meters long. We have a wall here. For the wall, we have not been given the length, but there is something that we've been given here. We are told that the ladder is 3.2 meters. Yeah, 3.2 meters. Then it is placed at an angle of 30 with a vertical wall. So angle of 30 with a vertical wall means 30 is at this point. What was the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the foot of the wall? So we need this distance. And now looking at the diagram, that way we cannot apply Pythagoras theorem. The only one distance is provided, but we can apply trigonometry, simple trigonometric ratios with 30, and we need the opposite length from where 30 is. Remember, this one is adjacent length to 30. This one is hypotenuse, but now x is the opposite length. So we talk about sine. The sine of an angle is usually given by opposite length out of hypotenuse. And how do we remain with x? We need to multiply 3.2 by the sine of 30. 3.2 by the sine of 30. 3.2 sine 30. This gives us 1.6 meters. So 1.6 meters makes D the most appropriate answer. It's good for you to learn something here. It's good for you to learn something that this diagram or this kind of a question can also be solved by what we call scale drawing. You can actually draw and measure. You can take a scale of 1 centimeter, to represent, you know, this automatically, this one is 60. Automatically, 60 degrees. So we can use 1 centimeter to represent 1 meter. And we draw, then we measure. Then we measure. We're going to get the same answer to one decimal place. Now, the number of fish sold by a fishmonger was represented in a bar graph as shown below. So we got bar graphs here now. A bar graph representing the fish sold, the number of fish, then the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right. And from this drawing, by the way, we can learn something about bar graphs. Bar graphs are supposed to be having equal spacing. Look at the space between here and here and here. So the spaces are equal. And something else you're supposed to learn about bar graphs is that the bars are also having the same width. Therefore, if the bar for Monday is represented by 2 squares, the bar for Tuesday should also be 2 squares. For Wednesday, 2 squares. For Thursday, 2. So the bars themselves are having the same width at equal spaces. They only differ in sizes, in heights, that is. Now, because on the height is where the number of items now come in. So now we can check the question now. On which 2 consecutive days did the fishmonger sell the highest number of fish? So when was highest number of fish sold? According to the bar graphs, which are already represented here. Look at the graph. Look at the graph. On Monday, we are having according to the number here, we are having 10. On Tuesday, we are having 20. On Wednesday, we are having 12. 12, yes. Look at it keenly. 12. On Thursday, we are having exactly 5. Then on Friday, we're having the highest number of fish, which is 25. Now we need the number, the highest number for 2 consecutive days. Mark the word consecutive. Mark the word consecutive. So that when we talk about Monday and Tuesday, so Monday and Tuesday, we are having 30. When we talk about Tuesday and Wednesday, we are having 32. When we talk about Wednesday and Thursday, we are having 17. When we talk about Thursday and Friday, we are having exactly 30 because of 25 and 5. 25 and 5 will give us 30. So 2 consecutive days with the highest number of fish sold is going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, giving us 32. Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday, that way. Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday. That is the right answer. Yeah, so we are changing to the section 2, section B, whereby we are having now 80 marks. As we continue learning, let's get reminded of our program here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can access airtime of any amount for your line by just going to the M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa. The pay bill number is displayed very clearly, 737356. Then the account number is the phone number that you're purchasing the airtime for. After that, now you enter the amount that you'd like to spend, then you complete the transaction and the airtime is going to reflect instantly. Remember, this number can be your Airtel number, Safaricom number, Telcom number, and it can even be a number of a friend that you'd like to purchase airtime for. So that one should be noted. Kindly utilize the facility and invite friends to the same. Section B, 80 marks. This begins with number 21. Number 21 says this, a cooperative society received, let me check this number very well, 18,357,248 cartons of avocados from farmers in one season. How many times is the total value of digit 3 greater than the total value of digit 2 in the number above there? So the total value of digit 2, 2 is at the position of hundreds, so it's 200. Now the total value of digit 3 is at hundreds of thousands. Is that true? So we have hundreds, thousands, tens, and yeah, sure. So 300,000 total values. Therefore, we are told that digit 3 is greater than digit 2 by a certain number of times. That language is supposed to be understood because in this particular case, now we're going to say 200, which is the total value of digit 3, digit 2, should be multiplied by a certain number of times for us to get 300,000. So value of x is equivalent to, when we divide through by 200, I'm getting 1,500. So 1,500 times. In other words, 200 should be multiplied by 1,500 for us to get 300,000. Therefore, 300,000 is greater than 200, 1,500 times. That one should also be understood. Number 22. A fisherman on a boat saw a fish at a depth of 5 meters. He noticed a bird vertically above the fish at a height of 12 meters from the water surface. Use a number line to determine the distance between the fish and the bird. Look at this. We're supposed to use a number line. So allow me to draw this way. I'll take the water surface. I'll take the water surface to be 0. Then now, inside the water, where the fish is, to be negative. So we are having now the fish below the water surface, which is -5. Then we have the bird above the water surface. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The number line can continue increasing. Now look at it this way. From where the fish is to where the bird is. Now the bird is here. That is where the bird is. This is where the fish is. So what is the distance between the two? We just count the units now between the fish and the bird. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have 17 meters. So the distance between is going to be 17. That is how we apply the number line in real life situations. Look at number 23 now on fractions. A school bought some rice to be used for 6 days. On the first day, the school used 1/6 of the rice. On the second day, a fifth of the remaining rice was used. The rest of the rice was shared equally for the last 4 days. On the last day, the school used 37.5 kilograms of rice, of course. Determine part A, the fraction of rice that was shared equally for the last 4 days. So we are talking of first day. The school used a sixth. What remained after this use is 5 out of 6. But now on the second day, the school is going to use a fifth of what had remained. So this will still be a sixth. So on the second day, we are spending a sixth again. Then we are also told that the rest of the rice was shared equally for the last 4 days. Therefore, can we talk about a sixth plus a sixth? So a sixth plus a sixth, giving us a third. Then now, after the first 2 days, we shall have a remainder of, when we take the whole fraction, subtract a third, we get 2/3. So it is 2/3 of rice. 2/3 of rice, which was used for the last 4 days, because a third was used in day 1 and day 2. So 2/3 got distributed equally in the last 4 days. What mass of rice determine the mass of rice that the school had bought? So we can say now 2/3 is being shared for the last 4 days. And in the last day, they are using 37.5. So for the last 4 days, because the portion is equal, for the last 4 days, we shall have 4 days multiplied by 37.5. 4 multiplied by 37.5. This will give us 150 kgs in the last 4 days. And the fraction is 2/3. So a fraction of 2/3 equals to 150 kgs. What about the total fraction? In other words, we can say 2 proportions are equal to 150 kg. What about 3 proportions? 3 by 150 over 2. And this is going to give us 225 kgs of rice. So that is what had been purchased by the school. Yeah, that is what had been purchased by the school. Number 24. A wall is in the shape of a square. A wall is in the shape of a square. Okay. Each side of the wall is 15 meters. All right. The wall is covered with square tiles, each 50 centimeters long. Determine the number of tiles used. Let me just sketch this information. We have a square here. This is a wall. The wall is going to be covered by square tiles. It's made of a square. It's a square, and it will also be covered by square tiles. The total length, we can have this one as A, B, C, E. Therefore, from A to B, we have 15 meters. You know, 15 meters is equivalent to 1500 centimeters. Then one square tile is having a length of 50. So 50, 50, 50, 50, so that they may lie here. So along the length, how many tiles are we going to have there? How many tiles will lie along the length? So we shall have 1500 when divided into lengths of 50, we'll get 30. 30 tiles. Then, because it is a square room, also here we will have 1500 divided by 50, and we will also have 30 tiles. So the tiles here will be 30 by 30. 30 fitting here, 30 fitting here. So when we multiply 30 by 30, we shall get 900 tiles. Because you cannot count literally from one to the last, but that is technically how the wall is going to be divided. That will fit along the length here, and that will also fit along the other length here. Therefore, all of them shall be when you multiply 30 by 30. All right, 25. Katana employed 4 men to weed his farm in 18 days. Determine the number of men Katana would need to weed his farm in 8 days. Assuming that all men will work at the same rate. So we have men and we have the number of days. Men are 4 to work for 18 days. And now we need a new number of men to work for 8 days. So ours is to ask ourselves, now we are varying the number of men in the ratio of days. If men are 4, they would work for 18 days. So for these men to work for 4 days, they are supposed to be more. So we increase the number of men in the number of days. So we need more men for the days to reduce. So it will be 18 over 8. Or multiplied by 18 over 8, giving us exactly 9 men. So you need 9 men. Yeah. For that task. 9 men. Okay. Number 26. Amina shared some money among her 3 children, Mohammed, Fatuma, and Hussein. Mohammed received 3 times the amount of money that Fatuma received. Hussein received 7,000 shillings more than Fatuma. If Fatuma received X shillings, write a simplified expression for the total amount of money that Amina shared. Okay, we start with Fatuma. Now, Fatuma received X. Then we go to Mohammed. Moha received 3 times the amount of money. 3 times the amount of money that Fatuma received. Then we have Hussein now. Hussein, on the other side, received 7,000 shillings more than Fatuma. What Fatuma received? 7,000 more. Now we are writing total expression for the total amount that had been shared by Mina Martha. So we will have X plus 3X plus X plus 7,000, that is. So X plus 3X plus X, that will give us 5X. Then plus 7,000. So that is the total amount of money as an expression. And that's Amina shared amongst the children. Remember, our number is still on the board. You can use this number to inquire for revision materials to do your consultations. You can also use the same number to appreciate these programs. 27. Mary bought 3 packets of milk, 4 loaves of bread for 570 from a shop. Jane bought 5 packets of milk and a loaf of bread for 440 from the same shop. Determine the cost of a loaf of bread and the cost of a packet of milk from this particular shop. So let's form linear equations, which I suppose will be 2. Hence, we call them simultaneous equations for Mary and Jane from this shop. Okay, Mary bought 3 packets milk. So we can say 3 packets of milk, each selling M, and 4 loaves of bread, 4 times each loaf costing B, and this totaled to 570. This is our equation 1. Then Jane bought 5 packets of milk. So 5, each packet costing M, because it's from the same shop, and a loaf of bread. So for bread now, it's only 1, so B, and this totaled to. So we have to solve these 2 equations simultaneously now for us to obtain the price of each commodity. There are very many ways or very many methods of solving a simultaneous equations, but allow me use the substitution method in this case. So that we say from equation 2. From equation 2, B can be expressed as 440 minus 5M. Yeah, the value of B can be expressed as 440 minus 5M. So that now, equation 1 now becomes, equation 1 now can be rewritten as 3M plus 4, and instead of B, we have 440 minus 5M being equivalent to 570. So we can open brackets here and talk about 3M plus 440 by 4. This will give us 1760 minus 20M equals to 570. Now we can start grouping terms together. 3M minus 20M, that gives us a negative 17M. This is equivalent to 570 minus 1760. This gives us 1190. 1190, which is negative 1190. So we can get the value of M by dividing through by 17, which is negative. So the negatives will cancel and M becomes exactly 70. If M is 70, now we can solve for the value of B. There is an equation there which gives us B. So we'll be talking of the value of B being 440 minus 5 into 70. So 440 minus 5 into 70, and this will give us exactly 90. Yeah. So with the value of M and the value of B, we can say that a packet of milk, a packet of milk costed 70 bob. Then a loaf of bread costed, that was B now, which is 90. So that we work out the simultaneous equation to get the price of each commodity. So I have applied the substitution method. Learners can also work out the same problem using the elimination method. Look at number 28 now. A trader sells G goods every week. The number of goods he sells each week is more than 8, but less than or equal to 15. Less than or equal to 15. Write a compound inequality to represent this information. So we are talking of the number of goats can be let to be G according to the instructions here. So this number of goats is more than 8. So G is greater than 8. Then we are also saying the same number is less than or equal to 15. G is less than or equal to 15. So we can see now 8 and 15 are the limits for the number of goats sold. The number can be anything above 8, not 8, anything above 8, but not beyond 15. Can be 15 or below there. So the goats are going to 15, but between 8 and 15, but 8 is not included. So this is the compound inequality, which represent the same. Remember, when we say G is greater than 8, we can also say that 8 is less than G. It means the same. It means the same. So we have now the compound inequality there. 29. Kamau took part in 10,000 meters race. After hitting a distance of 72.8 hectometers, he fell and could not complete the race. Part A of the question. What distance in meters had he covered before he fell? We know that 1 hectometer is equivalent to 100 meters. What about the 72.8 hectometers which had been covered? It will be 72.8, sorry for that. 72.8 by 100/1. So when we multiply 72.8 by 100, we are getting 7280. 7280 meters. Yeah, that is what Kamau had covered. What distance in decameters was remaining for Kamau to complete the race? So remaining distance, we have to calculate remaining first. From 10,000 meters, we subtract 7280. So the remaining distance first in meters. So 10,000 minus 7280, and we are getting to 720 meters. Then now we are supposed to convert from meters to what we are calling decameters. And we usually say that we usually have 10 decameters in 1 meter. We usually have 10 meters, 10 meters making up 1 decameter. 1 decameter. Remember, decameter is different from decimeters. Different from decimeters. Therefore, what about 2720 meters? It will be 2720 by 1 out of 10. This is 272 decameters. Yeah, decameters. So it's good for you to know that 10 meters equals to 1 decameter. And again, 10 decimeters, small decimeters, to make 1 meter. So you should differentiate that. So decameters is capital D, not small d. We are at 30 now. In number 30, the question says this: the floor of a swimming pool in a hotel was made up of a rectangular part and a semicircular part. The figure below represents the floor of the swimming pool. So we can see the rectangular part and also the semicircular part. Determine the area covered by the floor of the swimming pool. So we must add the rectangular part. You know, the rectangle part is given by length times width. So when we talk about a length of 12, then by 7, we will get 84 square meters. Then there is the semicircle part. The semicircular part is given by half pi r squared. So half pi, radius shall be 3.5, and we square this. Should be squared because the width of the rectangle is the diameter for the semicircle, which means now we need the radius up to this point, which will be 3.5 meters. So we can work out this 0.5 by 22 over 7 multiplied by 3.5 squared. This gives us 19.25 square meters. So we can talk about total area covered by the floor, the swimming pool. So 85 plus 19.25. This is going to give us exactly 103.25 square meters. So that's how we get the total area. That's one. A cylindrical tank of diameter 5.6 meters contains water to a height of 2.5. The water was transferred to a rectangular tank of length 5.5 meters and width 4.5. What was the height of the water in the rectangular tank? So we are supposed to know that this is an issue of transferring volume of water without changing that volume into a rectangular tank. All right. Therefore, we can determine the volume of this water using the first container, which is cylindrical now. So volume of a cylinder is usually given by the cross-section area, which is circular, pi r squared multiplied by height. So we need pi r, which is 2.8 squared times the height of 2.5. So this volume of water is equivalent to 22 over 7 multiplied by 2.8 squared multiplied by 2.5. This gives us exactly 61.6 meters cubed, being volume. So this is now volume of the water. Now this exact volume is being transferred into a rectangular container this way. Now this rectangular container is having a length of 5.5 and a width of 4. But now the water will come in and occupy a known height. So it is the height that we are calculating now. It is this height that we don't know. So we will tell ourselves that volume is usually given by length times width times height. And we know the volume is 61.6. So this will be the same as a length of 5.5 times a width of 4 times height unknown. So we can remain with H by taking 61.6 divided by 4 multiplied by 5.5. So when you have a 61.6, you divide by, you open brackets for you to write 4 times 5.5. You know, this will give us exactly 2.8 meters. 2.8 meters. So you divide very carefully that way. Okay. Number 32 now. A half marathon is 21 kilometers long. Peter ran the race in 1 hour and 40 minutes. Determine Peter's speed in meters per second. Actually, instead of working out speed in kilometers per hour, then we start converting the speed from kilometers per hour to meters per second. We can directly convert, because the distance is here in kilometers, we make it meters. The time is here in hours and minutes, we make it also seconds. Then we divide directly. So we say that 1 km is equivalent to 1,000 meters. So how can we make 21 kilometers meters? We multiply. This becomes 21,000 meters. So our distance is already in meters. What about time? We make it seconds. We usually say that 1 hour equals to 60 minutes. Then we are having already 40 minutes, so total time. This is equal to 60 minutes in the 1 hour and the 40 minutes. So we have 100 minutes. Then 1 minute is usually equivalent to 60 seconds. What about the 100 minutes that we have? This one will give us 60 by 100, giving us 6,000 seconds. 6,000 seconds. Yeah. Then now we can talk about, so we have time in seconds, distance in meters. So speed is usually given by distance out of time. So we will talk about a distance of 21,000 and time 6,000. So when we divide all this, I'm getting 3.5 meters per second. So that is it. Meters per second. Number 33. Sam gets a commission of 2% for every car sold. In a certain month, he sold 6 cars. The selling price of each car was 890,000 Kenya shillings. Calculate the commission Sam earned that month. Calculate the commission Sam earned that month. So commission is a 2% of every car sold. All right, then he is selling 6 cars. 1 car is costing 890,000. So we can work it by getting commission per car. So from 1 car, Sam is going to get 2% of 89,000. So this is going to give us what? 2 by 890,000 percent, 17,800. 17,800 Kenya shillings. That is the commission that Sam will get from 1 car. So for the 6 cars, he will get 17,800 by 6. So when we multiply this by 6 now, we will get 106,800 Kenya shillings. Then alternatively, for the same question, alternatively, we can get a price, selling price of 6 cars, which is going to be 890,000 by 6 cars. So 890 by 6 cars, we are going to get 5,340,000. That is now the selling price for the 6 cars. Then now you're going to get 2% of this. So getting 2% of this means 2% of 5,340,000 by 2%, we're going to get 106. Sorry. Yeah, 106,800. So the two approaches will take us to the same answer. Look at number 34. A welder designed a window in the shape of a parallelogram as shown below. So we have a window frame, which is in the shape of a parallelogram as shown. So we have an angle A, B, then an angle of 70 here. Giving reasons, determine the size of the angles A and B. So for us to get angle A, we can say that now that we have, let me name it A, B, C, D, this is the window frame. We are talking of the angle 70 and A. They are called co-interior angles. Co-interior angles are usually supplementary. They add up to 180. Therefore, for us to get angle A, we need 180 minus 70, and this will give us 110. The reason is supplementary angles. Okay, co-interior angles are supplementary. They are supplementary. Co-interior angles are supplementary. They add up to 180. Another name of co-interior is the allied angles. Allied angles. All right, that is one way of getting A. So A is 110 degrees. Then now, considering parallel lines AD and BC, because this line is also parallel to this, then A and B are again co-interior. Therefore, for us to get B, we need to take 180 minus 110 to give us 70. The same reason, co-interior angles are supplementary, meaning that they should add up to 180. Therefore, B is 70, A is 110. Now, there can be more reasons and more approaches to this. In a parallelogram, we usually say that opposite angles are usually equal. Opposite angles are usually equal. So 70 and the angle at B are opposite to one another. 70 and B are opposite to one another. So we can say that B equals to 70 degrees. Reason being, opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. Opposite angles in a parallelogram are usually equal. So it will be equal to 70 degrees. Then the other two angles are also going to be equal. But now in a parallelogram, we know that being a quadrilateral, we should get 360 as the sum. So when you take 360 and we subtract the 270s that we are already having, 360 minus 140, we are going to get 200 and we are going to get minus 140, sorry, 360 minus 140, we're going to get 220. So the two other angles, which is the angle at C and the angle A, are supposed to give us a total of 220 and they are equal. So if they are equal, then the size of A will be, when we divide 220 by 2, so that we get 110. 110. So there can be several approaches to calculating the angles in that parallelogram. Otherwise, the progress is good. Remember, our consultation line remains 07 04 15 33 66. Through the same number, you can appreciate these programs using the M-Pesa. Let's look at number 35. A carpenter designed a coffee table with a triangular tabletop. A model of the table was a triangle NPQ such that PQ equals to 7, NQ equals to 9, and the angle NPQ equals to 60. Part A. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses only, construct triangle NPQ. So for us to construct triangle NPQ without involving a protractor, then we have to proceed this way. We draw the first line. The first line provided, remember, I'm just going to guide. In this case, PQ equals to 7. So we need to construct 7. P, then up to Q, we only measure 7 centimeters. Then now, the angle at P, because NPQ means the angle at P, 60 degrees. So we construct 60 degrees. So we have to stand at P using a reasonable arc. Standing at P, we make an arc. Then standing at that arc, where the arc cuts the line, we cut the same arc on the upper side that way. That means when we connect it to P, we will get 60 degrees automatically. So with 60 degrees now, we can produce the line. That way, it's automatically 60 degrees. Now, with 60 degrees at that point, we can measure from N to P, from N to Q, sorry, 9 centimeters. Therefore, we measure 9 centimeters and we stand at Q. And wherever we shall intersect that line, that becomes our N. That becomes our N. Then now we connect N to Q, and we will have our tabletop for the model. Exactly that way. So we are having now the triangle without a protractor. Yeah, so measure the angle P and Q. P and Q. So you come with your protractor, you measure this angle, and also measure the length. Remember, this one is exactly 9, sorry. So we measure the length PN. You also use your divider to measure that length, and you transfer them to the spaces in part B that way. Let's look at number 36 now. A surveyor recorded the measurements of a garden in a field book as shown below. The measurements were given in meters. Using a scale of 1 centimeter represent 2 meters, draw the map of the garden. So we are supposed to begin with line XY. Then now we talk about the offsets now. So from X to Y, we are having 30. And because of the scale provided, we will use 15 centimeters. So 30 meters will be represented by 15 centimeters. So we draw 15 centimeters first. We can draw it vertically or horizontally. In both cases, you get the same map. So the baseline is X, Y, X to Y. So from X, we are going to measure 10 meters first. So 10 meters are represented by 5 centimeters. So we measure 5 centimeters. It is these 5 centimeters to represent the 10 meters according to the scale. Then after that, the side where there is A, which is the right, we can go to the upper side. So 12 centimeters will be represented by 6. 12 meters by 6 centimeters. So we use 6 centimeters to represent. This will be point A. Then from A up to the 25th meter, we have added a distance of 15. So 15 will also be divided by 2 to give us 7.5. So from this point, we add 7.5 centimeters to represent the 15 up to a point like this. Then we go to the downward now, because it is the opposite side of A, to be 7 meters. So this distance of 7 meters will be represented by 3.5 centimeters. So 3.5 centimeters. This is B. Then now finally to the 30th, we are adding only 5 meters. If we are adding 5 meters, 5 meters will be represented by 2.5 centimeters. So this now becomes our Y. Yeah, that becomes Y. Then now we can connect now the tops of the offsets. So this one should be connected to A. And because on the upper side, we don't have any other offset, we go directly to the baseline, which is point Y. Then now on the other side, with the offset, which is only at B, we connect it to the baseline at X and at Y. That way. So we are having the garden represented very well. So that is how we do it. Remember, you are supposed to request for this paper so that you may construct it practically on paper and you see the same shape coming up. We talk about number 37 now. Grade 8 learners were learning about the nets of solids. The teacher gave the learners a model of a cube of side 3 centimeters. The figure below shows the cube. Draw the net of the cube. So for us to draw the net of a cube or the net of any solid, you're supposed to, first of all, understand the faces making up such a solid. Then now you'll be able to open the solid into the respective net. For this particular cube, you're supposed to know that a cube, okay, let me label it for us to have an easier time. We can have A, B, C, D. Then up there we have E, F, G, H. Anybody can name it otherwise. So there is no specific name, also when it has not been labeled. So we suppose now to open this into all the faces that we can see. Remember, all the faces are equal and they are 6 in number. Therefore, we're going to open A, B, C, D, that is the base first. So we start by a square of the base. 3 by 3, number that. Yeah, 3 by 3. So we'll be talking about A, B, C, D. 3, 3. The units here are centimeters. So using the measurement of 3 centimeters, now we are going to continue this way. We do another 3 centimeter here and another 3 centimeter here. Then we join that way. That is the face that we have created on the upper side. And that can be from D to C, we can connect FE. So FE is there that way. Then on our right, we can have GF. GF, still using measurements of 3 by 3. Measurements of 3 by 3. Three by 3 to give us GF. F at that point. Then to our left, we can have HE. So to our left, we will have our HE this way. Still a square, because all the faces are equal. So EH will be there. And on the lower side, we also have to bring another face. Bring another face. Also 3 by 3. Yeah. This one on the lower side, we're going to have HG. So HG. Now in this net, whereby every face is 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 by 3, 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. When we close all the faces, you discover that the top is going to be open. But for this solid, we have all the faces there. Therefore, we have to add another. These are already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now there is the 6th phase, which has not been included here. And we can place it anywhere now. It can even be on the lower side, on the right-hand side, the left-hand side, on the upper side. So we can extend the lower side now so that we get the last phase. Yeah, so this extension now, also 3 by 3, so that you get the last phase. And this is going to be EF. This is going to be EF. Yeah, EF, that too. So that is how we draw the net of a cube. Students may tend to forget the last phase here, which closes the whole net now. But make sure you are not among those who forget. Now, in part B of the same question, we are being advised to use the net to work out the surface area of the cube. So we are going to get surface area by calculating, because it's a square, 3 by 3, then we multiply by 6 phases. So we need 9 by 6, giving us exactly 54. square centimeters. So that is it. Instead of working each individually, we just take 3 by 3 and they are 6 similar. Yeah, 6 similar. That way. Wow, number 38. Two triangles, A and B, are drawn in a grid as shown. Triangle B is an enlargement of triangle A, just as you can see. Actually, I'm going to give them some names, P, Q, R. So that we have after the enlargement, this becoming Q prime, R prime, and P prime. That way, determine the scale factor of the enlargement. Then part B, on the grid, mark point X, the center of the enlargement. So let me bring my ruler now in place, whereby I'm supposed to bring point R and R prime, then I connect them. R and R prime should be connected that way. I don't know whether the line is very straight. Let me check something. Yeah, let me redo this. Supposed to be very careful in coming up with that straight line. Yeah, that way. Then we do the same for P and P prime. We do the same P and P prime. So for P and P prime, we do the same. P prime. Let's check whether there is some intersection of the lines. We also, if we try for Q prime, we see whether they are sharing the intersection now. I think they are giving us a certain idea already. They are already giving us a certain idea. And remember, where the lines will intersect becomes our center for the enlargement. This one, I'm supposed to make it very straight. Sorry for that slight mistake. That way. So you see, all the lines are intersecting at this coordinate. So this actually, I'll begin by marking point X. Point X is there, which is our center of enlargement. The Cartesian plane has not been drawn. We're just going to use the grid. Then now for us to identify what we call the scale factor of the enlargement, ours is to check from X to P, and again from X to where P prime is. What is the relationship? Look at it in this manner. From the center to P, there is a distance. And from the center again to P prime, there is another distance. And you see the distance is like twice the other one. So when we take center X to P prime, and we divide by from center X to P, you see we are getting a ratio of 2. That means we do the same, and you find that from X to where R prime is, X to where R prime is, divided by from X to R, we are still getting 2. So from let me do it practically for you to see. Look at it in this manner. So from X to R prime, we move 1 twice. And from X to R, it's just once. So you discover that the distance from R to R prime, the distance from X to R prime is twice that from X to where R was. Therefore, it is a scale factor of 2. So the scale factor is 2. You can even use Q from X to where Q is. Then we move again from where X is to Q prime. You find it is twice. Therefore, the scale factor should be positive 2. In case From the center of enlargement to where the images are, we add them on the opposite side, the scale factor would have been negative. But now that from the center of enlargement, both the object and the image are on the same side, then we will have a positive scale factor. So we have a positive scale factor of 2 in this particular enlargement. Wow, let's check number 39. The number of learners selected to represent their school in various ball games was recorded as shown in the figure below. So we have the game whereby there's football, then the number of learners there are 18, netball 12, volleyball 10, handball 9, basketball 11. Represent the number of learners selected for each game on a pie chart. So in a pie chart, this is a circle graph whereby we just draw a circle. Sorry, I'm not having the instruments to ensure that we draw a perfect one, but we can make it better that way. Then now, from the center of the circle, we can initiate a certain measurement, whereby we can move to the right that way. Then now, each number of participants will be represented by a given angle, whereby we will take total learners. Total learners or players, 18 plus 12 plus 10 plus 9 plus 11. You know, this is giving us 18 plus 12, 30, 40, 49 plus 11, 60. So we have 60 learners in total. Now, the 60 learners are the ones to fit in the whole circle. So which means 60 learners will represent the whole circle, whereby at the center we have 360. 60 learners, sorry. 6 learners. 6 learners. What about the 18 learners who are on football? The 18 learners on football. So it will be 18 by 360 over 60. Yeah. 18 by 360 over 60, giving us 108. So 108 is for football. Then the other one will be 12 out of 60 learners multiplied by, so that will be not the fraction of the angle that goes to netball. 12 by 360 over 60, giving us 72 degrees. The other one shall be 10 learners over 60. So what is the fraction represented here? And this is going to be exactly 60 degrees. 60 degrees is for volleyball. The 9 over 60 learners multiplied by 360 is going to be an angle of exactly 54 degrees. So 54 degrees will represent handball. Then finally, we have 11 learners for basketball. 11 over 60 by 360 for basketball. This is going to be 66 degrees. Yeah, that way. So we have the angles and the learners they represent. We said the first one is football. The second case, we have the netball. Then volleyball. Then we have handball and basketball. Handball and basketball. Basketball that way. So now we can have them. We begin by 180 degrees. So we measure 180 degrees. So we have to measure 108. Let me check my protractor so that I estimate the angles very well or with a higher precision, though they are estimations because my circle is already not very perfect. I begin with 108. So measuring 108 from this line, (108) will be somewhere here, somewhere there. Then I have to produce the line this way. So we have 108 degrees. This is football. That way. Then the next angle to be measured is 72 degrees. So from where 108 has reached, we add 72. We add 72 degrees. So measuring 72 will take us to a point like this. Yeah, so we connect an angle of 72. We're supposed to show students everything so that learners may not say that the 72 representing netball. Yeah, I don't want anybody to complain that they never understood. Actually, so far we should be on a straight line. Remember that. So my estimation should be a bit accurate. Yeah, we should be on a straight line. Yeah. Sorry. I think there is a so I'm supposed to have it this way. Yeah, that way. So that's 72 and 108 will make the first 108. There was a mistake there when I was rubbing, everything disappeared. So we are already supposed to be at a semicircle that way. Then now we can talk about the next, which is just 60. So we measure 60 on the lower side. So you measure 60 that way. And the angle that you shall produce of 60 should be representing volleyball students. Volleyball students now. Then now the other angle will be shared into 54 and the remaining one automatically will be 66. So you measure 54. So that 66 falls in place automatically. So this is 54 for handball. 54 degrees for handball. And automatically, this is 66. You don't even have to measure it. It will be for the basketball now. So that is how the pie chart is supposed to be drawn. Remember to use the right tools to come up with the exact pie chart. Yeah, you just draw a circle of a reasonable radius, not a dictated radius, just a reasonable radius. Then you measure the angles accurately. Number 40 now, which is our last question. A teacher wrote the numbers from 10 to 20 on a number card or on number cards and asked grade 9 learners to select a card at random. Determine the probability that the number of the card picked is 1, a prime number, B, an even number. So we can write all of them. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Exactly. Now we have written all of them. Now, how many numbers are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we are having 11 numbers listed here. So what is going to be the probability for picking a card on which the number written there is a prime number? What are prime numbers first? Alana should understand what prime numbers are. Now, the opposite of prime numbers is what we call composite numbers. Composite numbers are numbers which can be factorized, but a prime number can only be factorized into one and itself. One and itself. It doesn't have factors inside it. Like 11. 11 is a prime number. 13, prime number. 17, prime number. 19, a prime number. So those are prime numbers. And how many are they? They are 4 out of 11. So the probability of picking a prime number is 4 over 11. I hope I have selected them well. 11, 13, 17, and 19. Prime numbers. Then the next one is an even number. Probability of picking an even number. Now, even numbers are numbers which can be divided by 2 without a remainder. So those numbers which can be divided by 2 without a remainder, they are either ending with a 0 or ending with an even number. And they are 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and the 20 itself. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them out of a total of 11 numbers. So the probability of picking even numbers is 6 over 11. So that is the paper. Thank you so much for taking the time to follow. Remember to subscribe and to share with your friends. Thank you.